So could you give me a brief explanation of what the project is and the objections to it?
Cable from Morocco into Alverdiscott or somewhere in the southwest to feed into the national grid.
Yeah.
In order to do that, they need a converter station before it actually feeds into the substation up the road. And it's the converter station that's causing the problem, because where XLink wanted it has apparently been turned down by the council. So they're trying to relocate a bit further down the road, which unfortunately is a lot nearer people's houses, which is where all the fuss has kicked off.
Right.
That's it in a nutshell.
Yeah.
Oh, and also they will need to upgrade the substation to cope with the additional power input.
Yeah. And how long will the construction take?
Well,
roughly?
when we were at the public meeting, it was due to be finalised 2030.
So there will be construction going on till 2030 locally, right? Yeah.
With a proposal to run a pipeline across from Morocco to the UK. They've had various open days, and they had several sites apparently identified in Devon and Wales, and they've come down to their open days have basically concentrated on this one particular site in Huxhill, which is a very rural site. So most people, from the reaction I've been able to gauge, are very against the site that they've identified, because this is the parish.
Yeah.
This is the existing Alverdiscott power station with an existing solar panels. These are proposed solar panels that have been approved.
Yeah.
And this is the proposed site for a new substation for the import from Morocco. So we've got various listed buildings around here, and obviously it's a very elevated position, so it's going to be very visible from most places.
Yeah.
Most people that we've spoken to are not averse to the location being where the current substation is, Alverdiscott. I'm not saying that just because there's something there already we should increase it, but there is an infrastructure there, the access is better. We're not really sure why XLinks have apparently discounted that. We're also not sure why the National Grid have said this is where it should have landfall.
Right.
So that's basically what it is.
That's
so
basically
everyone's
it.
very, very upset about it,
Yeah.
which is why Sir Geoffrey Cox has been contacted, and he apparently, as far as I'm aware, has done a site visit today, and then he's coming to the meeting, which is obviously extremely well attended. I don't think I've ever seen a meeting in Huntshaw, Alverdiscott, Bideford, Torrington that has generated this much interest.
To listen to everything that you have to say. I should say, by way of introduction, that I met XLinks 6 months ago when they asked to speak to me. I was not told at that time that it would involve a 55-acre industrial site in the countryside around Gamerton and Alverdiscott. I was simply introduced at a very high level to the proposition, which is on its face an interesting and potentially very worthwhile one. Now, since the concerns arose, I think, in November about this proposal, I have been in touch with the Chief Executive of XLinks. I have written to him asking for a full and detailed explanation of why this site is the one that they have chosen, and I have a meeting with them next week, so that one of the things I want to hear today is your views, so that I can make that inform my approach to the company next week. So that's the introduction. the main purpose of this is that I want to be here to listen to you. So fire away, please. Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
My name's Susan Beer. I live at Land Cross. What I'd like to know is why is there such a short time on the consultation period for us locals? It's a very short window. With Christmas in between, it's not right. Is there any way that you could get them to extend the consultation period?
Thank you, Susan. I will take that point away and take it up. If it's the widespread view here that the consultation is too short, and I see heads nodding, and certainly with Christmas in between, and certainly with the major impact this installation is going to have on your locality, I do think there's a strong case for an extended consultation period. After all, it's not that they're going to start building this straight away. They've got to lay a cable from Morocco. It's not as if it's not going to answer our energy needs tomorrow or next year, or even possibly in 5 years or more years. So I agree with you. The community needs to be given the time fully to digest this, and so I will take that point away. Thank you. Mr. Chairman, are you going to call?
Gentleman at the back there. I'm Simon, Gamilton Cross Cottage. So when you see the picture, our house is the one that you can see just there. So
Which one is that? Sorry.
Gamilton Cross Cottage.
Yes, I've been up to Gamilton Cross. You are.
Yeah, if you go down the hill, so we're alongside it. We're about 70 metres away.
Okay.
So obviously it's a completely ridiculous plan to send energy from Morocco, which is clearly not a stable environment, running a cable underwater, which could be destroyed by any form of government, and absolutely no way of protecting it. So clearly, ideally, I don't see how the government can possibly back such a ridiculous plan. But for us,
We're not actually putting any money in the government. I mean, they're going to carry out the
so who's going to defend the line, I guess, is the point. How do you defend a cable underwater? You can't even know the Russians who knows, but the gas line was damaged recently. No one knows who's done it because you can't defend things underwater. So it's a ridiculous plan, but at the minute we seem to be getting played off between everyone. So XLinks come round with their slightly slimy sales guy. He's pleasant enough if you like that sort of thing. But they're trying to say that they can replace the lovely rolling hills of Devon with a big green mound. That seems to be their argument. They're saying it doesn't make any noise, but clearly it does. They say there's not going to be any light. But there's going to be 6 people there all the time, so unless they're badges, there's going to be lights on, there's going to be noise. I just can't literally understand, after working your entire life, paying your taxes and doing all the right thing, that we live in a country where it seems to be acceptable to just romp all over the little person for the sake of big business and hiding it behind the fact we all need a bit of energy. So from my point of view, I just think it's just a ridiculous plan that just shows the attitude of the country that at the moment we just walk all over people. So my point really for them is, I think we need to do this playing everyone off. I think is hard. Yeah. When we went to see down at Cadswell, XLinks pulled me to one side and said, "Oh, you need to fight because we don't want to use Gamilton, we want to use the other site." And it's like, we're not really pawns in this. We just seem to be the people who are affected badly by it, who ultimately the life we've lived and the time we spent buying these properties is now completely wiped clean. So there's no real points there. The point is, it's a ridiculous plan, and take it what you will.
Wendy Lawrence, Alverdiscott on the road. My question was really about I see this as a part of a planning application. When I spoke to the XLinks people at Huntshaw, they raised the issue that the substation itself will require extensive expansion to accommodate the power coming from the XLinks project. So the XLinks planning application itself is only part of the picture. Can we see the whole of the picture, which would include the substation and anything else that we've not picked up? Because we need to see what the jigsaw looks like itself, not one piece of it.
If I may expand on that, since Wendy spoke to the people of XLink, I have been in touch with National Grid. Unfortunately, National Grid form two separate companies, one for transmission and one for distribution. They don't talk to each other.
Well, I have an update on that.
Yeah,
Because I should have mentioned in my introduction, I actually met National Grid on this issue 10 days ago. So since you've all been in touch with me, I've carried out the preliminary steps that I need to make certain that when you touched on a very important point, I understand the full picture. Because my experience is, somebody wants to build 55 acres in the middle of the country, it's not the end of it. There will have to be an expansion of the grid infrastructure. At the moment, Alverdiscott's substation is no more than, if you take the human body, a capillary. It's not even a vein, let alone an artery. It will introduce power to the grid in a very limited way, because it simply doesn't have the capacity to admit that level of electricity onto the grid. It would be like trying to push a vascular blood through a capillary that needs to be through an artery. And so they're going to have to take the power all the way down to Bodmin, which is the nearest point of entrance onto the main transmission network of the grid. It's the only place they can get it into the transmission network. Therefore, it's inevitable that if they bring this in, there will have to be a major improvement. They wouldn't accept it to me in that meeting, but they will have to upgrade the transmission, as the chairman said, the transmission network, which will mean some form of important additional work. Now, whether it will necessarily have to be right on your doorstep, I don't know yet.
People in countryside, they can do what they liked with. If I suggested Hinckley Point, the thought of working with other people is just frightening. But the question is, why does it have to come into Alverdiscott, surely?
Again, I'm afraid, I'm not able to, but all I would know is they want to make landfall at Cornborough. And they want to...
Why? They can make landfall for Indian Queens, they can make landfall on the south coast.
Well,
why Alverdiscott?
Good point. I need to ask that question.
If you would, that would be very
and we will get, that's one of the things that we will get to get explained. And I have already written for this explanation from the Chief Executive. But the reality is, a longer consultation. Please assist me with that by doing what you do. Secondly, I am going to hold the company to account. At the moment, it's not adequate that I should be put in touch with PR people, important though they are. And so that's why I'm insisting on the Chief Executive meeting. Now, I will be making public my feelings, a consequence of this tour that I've had. Thank you to those who have organised and arranged it around the site. But I think the consultation just hasn't been adequate for the impact that this is going to have. So you will see that public statement being very short. As I said, I will be making strong representations to the planning authority, and we'll see where we get to with that. All right? Now, in the meantime, in the new year, it may be sensible if I will certainly see if we can meet again, because I'm going to propose to the company, Chief Executive, that a proper consultation is held, which I shall offer to Sherry, probably here. All right? And I hope you will feel at least those are two useful and positive steps in the right direction. But time is short, and I think Kevin DeHaan has put his finger on this. That if you were going to advise somebody how to slide an application of this size quickly under the radar, this is how you do it. And as Phil Pennington has pointed out, with an election coming, people are distracted, and a new crop of councillors may anyway be taking the decision.